Welcome to the Mind Muscle Radio podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about brutally honest fitness truths that you really should know about. You've been conditioned to believe that fitness is some sort of switch that we can turn on or off. Motivation, dedication, inspiration, that we just either have it or we don't. You've been told that self-care is giving yourself a bubble bath and going for a massage. But at the same time, you're breaking every single promise that you ever make to yourself about actually doing the work and getting fit. Right? Because most people do not need another training plan, another PDF, or another favorite influencer's app. You don't need a new hack. You don't need another supplement. And you don't need another perfect Monday that you're waiting for to get started again. What you need is a bit of a fucking wake-up call and a kick up the ass, which is hopefully what I'm going to do today. Because the truth is, for most people, trying to find the perfect time to get started and do something is just another way of protecting yourself from failing again, because you never actually get started, because that perfect time never fucking comes. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and move past that. I'm going to show you why the all or nothing mindset people tried to go for is something that's actually massively holding you back. I'm going to show you why sometimes having a bad workout can actually be one of your best workouts, and why getting started on your training today and not waiting for the perfect time is one of the most important things that's going to stop you from a future of fragility and suffering. Because right now it is time to stop focusing on shrinking yourself and to start focusing on building and growing yourself. So we're going to start off with perfectionism and waiting for the perfect time. Now that is when it comes to waiting for a Monday. You go, oh, I'll start on Monday. Oh, I'll start after Christmas. Oh, it's the kids' summer holidays, so I'm just going to wait until after the holidays, right? You always say that, but how often does that ever happen? Typically, in my experience, very rarely, if ever. What it is when you're telling yourself this is it's a defense mechanism against failure. Because if you never start, then you never fail at the thing you started at. So if you have a fitness goal and you want to try and achieve it, well, if you never start it, then you never failed. So say you want to run a half marathon. Well, if you don't start that couch to 10K, never matter, doesn't matter, I didn't do it, never failed it, never started, right? So it's a way of protecting yourself from failure. But what we really need to be doing is at least just trying. Get started. It's better to start and fail than to have never started in the first place. Because I really want you to ask yourself, when was the last time that you said, I will start on X time, and then you actually did it? It's probably not that often. And if you've gone through that cycle several times, it tells me that you have probably not had the right structure and system behind you to make those goals last, right? That's why they fail. We typically fail because we do too much at once. We have no plan. We have no real direction. We have unsustainable, unattainable goals. You have no accountability, no idea what to do when things go wrong or when it stops working, right? That's typically when people will be like, well, I guess it's getting hard, it's getting difficult, oh, it's not working, give up, quit, back to square one, right? That's where people like me, coaches and trainers, come in. These are the tools that we give you: the accountability, the structure, the concept and idea of why you're doing it, making sure that you are doing it properly, figuring out when it's not working, right? That's what coaches and trainers do. So typically, yeah, I'll be honest, shameless self-promotion. If you have goals and you're struggling with them and you want to be able to achieve them quicker, easier, more effectively, and make them last, hire a coach. It's literally what we're for. Saves you the effort of struggling, right? You wouldn't do it for anything else. If your car broke down, you wouldn't go, okay, I'm gonna go on YouTube and watch a video on how to replace the piston valve, whatever. I don't really understand cars. I need to replace a couple of pistons in my car. I'll buy some parts online, go on YouTube and try to figure it out myself. You probably look at that and go, I don't know what the fuck is all this? How am I going to get there? I'm going to need £1,000 worth of tools just to dismantle this car to even do the parts myself. I'm just going to take it to a garage. They will do it quicker and easier. The result will be better. Nothing will go wrong. Right? We're the same. We're no different from hiring a plumber, an electrician, a pilot to fly your plane, right? We do the things that you don't know how to do on your own and that you struggle with and would likely fail at, right? Please, when you have fitness goals and you want to achieve them, just get a goddamn coach. Just, okay. Next point I want to talk about is what I call worst case training. Worst case training is where you would just do anything you can do no matter how crazy life is, right? This is when I said earlier about sometimes the bad workouts can be better than the good workouts, right? Because if you go to the gym and you get like a 25-minute workout in and it's like, oh, he did some stuff and it wasn't great. That was still better than doing nothing. But even just going and doing that little something is still kind of potentially more valuable than if you'd gone on like an optimal week and done a great workout. And that's because it's showing to you that you can still turn up even when things are getting difficult, even when life is chaotic and stressful. If you can still get a little something in, that is proof that you are able to prioritize yourself and that your goals are something meaningful for you, but also sustainable, but that you've got the drive and the will to do it, right? I would rather go to the gym and do a crappy workout than have just sat around the house and been like, wish I'd gone to the gym today, or really should have done something, right? I would rather go out for a 20-minute walk in the pissing rain, howling wind, 6 inches of snow, than just sit around the house being like, oh, wish I could go out for a walk, right? We can get these things done. And sometimes just going out to just do something, anything. Go in your living room, throw on a 15-minute YouTube video workout. As much as I hate a lot of these things, but yeah, you can go throw on a quick workout. You could go do like an 8-minute ab workout, right? Is it the best thing in the world? No. Is it better than doing nothing? Absolutely. And if it's all you can do, if it's all you have time for, is to throw in an 8-minute ab workout once or twice a week because, I don't know, the kids are sick or they're on school holidays, then do it because it's better than doing nothing. And those little things still add up to something big, right? They are always baby steps towards progress. And if you had a week of just getting those little things done, that can be just as good as having a perfect week at the gym when life is going well, right? This is messy action, imperfect action, because something that's a B-list idea that you get done is better than an A-list idea that never gets off the page. Next topic I want to cover is self-care and the whole misconception of what self-care is and the self-care industry that women particularly are fed. Like I said earlier, it's like, oh, give yourself a bubble bath. Well, look, giving yourself a bubble bath, it's nice, it's lovely, everybody loves a bath, but it's not going to solve the big problems in your life. Buying skincare ain't gonna solve the big problems in your life. Treating yourself and the girls to a bottomless Prosecco brunch might be fun, but it's not going to move you anywhere towards your fitness goals, is it? Right? We want to move away from treat yourself, right? We'll insert a meme of Parks and Recreation. Treat yourself, right? We're moving away from treat yourself to respecting yourself. There's a difference between treating and respecting. So you get a lot of women who like to get up early and go to like a 6 a.m. class, maybe a 6 a.m. Les Mills or a spin, whatever it might be. But they tend to go and it's more of a punishment. But going to the gym and doing a workout should never be a punishment. It should be a reward. It's a privilege to move. It is a privilege to be able to exercise. It's a privilege to be able to have a facility where you can get up and go at 6 in the morning to work on yourself, right? That's one way we can reframe this whole self-love thing, is that training and exercise is not a punishment. We don't do it to punish ourselves for the decisions we've made the night before or the day before, or to try and fill some emotional hole we might be thinking because of something related to work or family, relationships. It's about taking care of yourself and respecting yourself, not a punishment. Because taking a bubble bath and drinking a glass of wine every night it's self-numbing. It's a temporary win, but it doesn't fix the actual problems. And what you need to be doing is setting boundaries and finishing tasks that you start. If you can finish tasks and things going on in your life, whether they be work or family or home or projects and hobbies, or whether the task is working on yourself to build and develop your physique and your health and your wellness, that's going to relieve so much more stress than a bubble bath and a glass of Pinot Grigio every night. That's not doing you any favors. And if you're listening to this and you're older and you're going through perimenopause and menopause, alcohol is most definitely not working in your favor. It's one of those things that you might be thinking, oh, it makes me feel better. I like my glass of wine at night. My wife is the same. She always spins that shit with me. But I'm like, it's not doing you any favors at this point. The older you get, the worse it gets. These are the times where you really need to be focusing on what can I be doing to relieve stress in my life? What can I be doing to relieve anxiety in my life? What are the things I've always wanted to do and haven't done with myself, with my life, with travel and experiences and family? Start prioritizing those things. I guarantee you will feel so much better that you won't need the bubble baths, the wine, the chocolate. You won't need that stuff anymore, or as much. So I feel like that leads nicely into the all or nothing mindset a lot of people, a lot of women especially, get themselves trapped in when it comes to anything fitness related, especially like weight loss. When it comes to losing fat, a lot of you do go, it's either 100 miles an hour or zero. You try to change everything in your life at once, right? Stop me if this sort of scenario sounds familiar. It's Christmas, you're feeling fat, unlazy, unfit, unmotivated. You're like, right, January, let's go. So what do? You get a gym membership, you join a running club, you start trying to run a couple of times a week, go to the gym a couple of times a week, whether it's to lift weights or go to a class or spin or something. You cut out the alcohol, you cut out the chocolate, the junk food, you reduce carbs, you cut your calories. You're like, I'm not going to have processed sugars anymore. I'm going to avoid that, everything else, right? You change a huge amount of things at once. And how long does it typically last? Some of you might make it to the end of January. A few of you might make it to the end of February. Most of you are probably failed before March. Probably before February, to be honest. I see it every year, right? I see the surge and then the drop off. And that's because you've gone from off to on, right? There's been no transition from one to the other. So I prefer to think of the on-off switch, the all or nothing mentality. I want you to think of it more like a dial, right? Like a dimmer switch rather than a on-off switch, right? That's where we take away this need for perfectionism. It's where we take away the need to have to change everything at once. If you're having a busy week or a busy day where you would normally do a 60-minute workout, but you can only maybe do a 6-minute workout, then doing a 6-minute workout is better than not doing your 60-minute workout at all because you've got the time or the energy, right? Doing a little something is better than doing nothing. If you can't lift heavy that day, maybe you're still sore and you're recovering, you don't feel like it, maybe you're on your period and you're feeling weak and you just don't have it in you. Instead of lifting heavy, you could do some stretching or some yoga and some mobility work instead, right? Still doing something even if you're not doing what you originally planned to do. I want you to start trying to think more like, what would an athlete do, right? Someone whose job and life it is to be particularly good at an activity or a sport. Now, I'm not saying you need to be an athlete. I'm not comparing you to an athlete because every athlete is different. Professional athletes don't necessarily have to have a job. Some do. But what I'm saying is, what would they think? And it would most likely be, well, I can't do this today, but I can still do something. I can't run today, my legs hurt, but I can do a walk. I don't feel like lifting heavy today. I've not got the time to hit the gym, but I could still do a short, quick YouTube workout at home or some stretching. I don't have time to prep all of my food this week, but I do have enough time to prep for today. It's about still doing something, no matter how small it is, rather than trying to do everything. Because that big mistake that so many people make is trying to change everything at once when you're trying to have fitness goals. It's the worst thing you could possibly do because you're more likely to fail because you've just changed your entire life. Habits take time. It can take a lot of weeks to build new sustainable habits. You have to give yourself that time. So usually, when people work with me and I bring new people on, we will change one or two things at a time. So if they're not going to the gym and working out, then that's probably the first thing we do. Right, let's get you doing 2, maybe 3 workouts a week. Start there. Do we make any significant changes to the diet? No, not yet. Do we do significant things like increasing step counts and working on all these other things? No. Start with the gym. A couple of weeks in, if you're good at getting familiar with going to the gym, right, now we can start to focus a little bit more on some dietary changes. Let's look at how we can increase your protein intake. And we'll find small ways to do that. Again, we're not going to be overhauling it. I'll be like, right, what proteins do you eat throughout the week? Good. Let's look at just increasing the portion sizes of those. Then nothing changes other than the amount you're preparing on your plate. Little things like that, right? One at a time, or as many as you can handle at a time. But I would never give a client, I'd be like, right, you're going from 0 workouts to 5 workouts a week. You're going from 1,000 steps a day to 10,000 steps a day. You're going from never tracking your food to tracking everything. You're going from 50 grams of protein to 150 grams of protein. You're going from a liter of water to 3 liters of water. Why would I give somebody, oh, that was exhausting just saying it. Imagine then having to do all that. But that's what so many of you are doing to yourself. You change everything all at once, and it just doesn't work. So pick 1 or 2 things and get good at those. Once you've mastered that, then begin to change other small things. That is how the successful people in health and fitness make progress, because we don't change it all at once. We do 1 or 2 things at a time. Good example of this would be training to develop your body. I will speak to people all the time who are like, I want to develop this muscle and this muscle and this. All right, I want glutes and I want quads and I want back and I want biceps and I want chest, and they want all these things. There's not enough time in the week or sets or reps or recovery for you to truly develop all of those to the level you want. So you have to focus on one for a while. So I'd be like, okay, we could focus on glutes for the next 6 months. And for the upper body, we could work on lats, right? But you're not going to be able to necessarily blow up your glutes and your quads and your hamstrings and your back and your chest and your arms all at the same time, because you need to give more time and attention to areas you want to focus on, right? So you've got to pick one thing. That might mean that your quads don't get bigger for 6 months. Fine. But your glutes did. Once the glutes are a bit bigger, then we can be like, okay, now I'm going to focus on getting my quads bigger. I can just pull away focus from glutes to focus on quads. And you just switch about like that, right? That's how it works. And when you develop that kind of mindset, that's when you become the kind of person who doesn't go to the gym. You become the kind of person who doesn't miss a workout. And again, there's a difference between someone who just goes to the gym and somebody who just like loves it and doesn't want to miss workouts and doesn't want to miss moving. Like me, for example, I hate it. I hate it when I go a couple of days and like don't move. Like if I'm sick or injured or just whatever it is that's coming up in life that I'm like, I don't get a workout in, I don't get some cardio in, I don't get enough steps in. I feel hideous. I hate it. I like to move every day if I can with something, even if that is just a walk. I can't just sit on my ass all day. I just get itchy feet. Got to move, got to do something. You want to become that sort of person, right? So all or nothing, 0 to 100 is never a good idea, whether it's your training, whether it's your diet, right? Because if you go and you have a bad meal on one weekend, or you have one bad day on a weekend, and then suddenly you're like, well, that's it, fuck it, everything's ruined, time to throw in the towel because what's the point anymore? Again, how many of you have been through that? Then what's the point? You're never going to get anywhere because you're trying to be perfect, because you're trying to always be on, you can never be off. Then you're just going to burn out and fail, right? On, off, not good. Dimmer switch, much better. Another big harsh reality, and this one in particular is for the ladies, is aging and thinking about what you want your future self and your future life to be like. Because for a woman, it is quite different, the realities, from being a man, honestly. Sorry. Because something a lot of women don't think about is training for your older self, right? I want you to think about what you want to be like when you're 80, Now, you might be listening to this and, you're in your 20s and you're like, why do I give a shit about what I'm going to be like when I'm 80? I just want to look hot right now and I want to look good in a bikini and feel confident and feel sexy. Great. It's great to want to look good. It's great to look good and have a great body, build all that muscle and stuff. But you got to think about what you're going to be like when you're older, because you're not always going to be young and hot. I'm sorry. Age and decline comes for us all, but it comes for women a lot harder than it comes for men. So you need to be thinking about, do you want to be independent and capable when you're 80 years old, 90 years old, or do you want to be in a nursing home, unable to wipe your own ass, unable to open a car door on a cold day? That's the difference between how you treat yourself now and where you're going to end up in the future. Because there is a huge correlation between the muscle mass that you develop through your 20s, 30s, and 40s and your ability to withstand things like slips and falls and breakages when you are older. Osteoporosis is a very real risk for most, if not all, women once they have been through menopause. Now, you are losing bone density every year over 30. You are losing muscle mass every year over 30. So you need to be doing everything you can to offset that. You want to be strengthening your bones, densing them up, right? You want to be building as much muscle mass as possible. You want to be fighting that decline tooth and nail for the rest of your life, because it is that difference between being a frail old lady in a nursing home who can't do anything for herself versus that lady who's still bossing it back and forward to the shops every day, carrying her shopping bags up a couple of flights of stairs, going out, traveling the world, on holidays, living her life, having a great time, right? That's the difference. I call it investing into your fitness pension, okay? This is your health and wellness pension. You'll spend all your life saving into a financial pension to enjoy your retirement once you get to your late 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond, and however long you live. But what's the point of having all that money to try and enjoy that life if you physically cannot enjoy it because you are weak and frail? That is the reality. This is why I'm always pushing my female clients, especially the ones who are that little bit older, to be focusing less on the aesthetics and more on their physical strength and performance, their agility, their mobility, their flexibility, their raw power, and putting on muscle mass, not just worrying about being skinny and sexy and cute or whatever, because ultimately, when you get down the line, you won't care what you look like in a bikini. You won't even look back and really care that you cared about caring what you look like in a bikini when you're in your 20s. You'll be going, I'm so glad I got strong and built muscle because I'm capable now. I don't really care what I look like. I'm happy I can move and I can move well. The flip side of that is there'll be some of you who look back and be like, I spent so much time trying to be skinny and small and petite and afraid of lifting weights so I was going to look manly. And now here I am in a nursing home, unable to wipe my own arse, barely able to get out of bed, can't do things, slipping, falling, breaking hips and legs and wrists and arms because you're just frail and weak. Because that is the life that you are signing yourself up for if you decide that skinny is what you want rather than strong, right? That's why we have the whole strong, not skinny movement, because skinny is just begging for an older life of misery. Muscle is your longevity. Muscle is your insurance policy against aging and decline, right? Muscle is your metabolism. The more muscle you have, the better your metabolism is going to be. The younger you're probably going to look, the younger you're going to feel, the longer your body is hopefully going to last, the more food you're going to be able to enjoy because you've got more muscle mass, right? It really is fundamentally the most important thing you can physically do for your body is have more muscle mass and be strong, right? I'm not just saying this because I'm a personal trainer and it's my job, to help people do this. I'm saying this because it's fucking true, right? I know plenty of frail old women who have never done anything in their lives and they're hobbling along on Zimmer frames and they've had hip replacements and all these other things. I also know a lot of women in their 60s and 70s, even into their 80s, who lift weights. I know people who run marathons because they've spent their whole life being fit and healthy and active and prioritizing strength and wellness rather than just trying to be small and skinny, right? I see that difference. It's important that you fucking listen to me, okay? Lift weights, get strong. Don't obsess quite so much about what you look like. Focus on more what you're going to be like when you're 80. But therein lies another problem, is that people ignore the basics and always go for the shiny object, right? Shiny object syndrome in the fitness industry is wild. Every 5 minutes, some dumb fucking influencer is putting out another weird, shiny looking new exercise that you read the comment section, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to try this. I'm going to go to the gym and I'm going to do this. Going to the gym today. Definitely going to try this, girly. Oh, fucking hell. And it's usually something that's just so pointless and ineffective, but looks good on a video. Probably because it makes their ass look fantastic in their contoured leggings that are so tight you can count the rings of their asshole, right? Influencers doing stuff for likes and views, probably to sell you leggings or sell you supplements, right? It's shiny object syndrome. Maybe we could just call it like shiny butthole syndrome. I might coin that. Shiny butthole syndrome, right? You're just looking at that going, oh wow, she's doing it and she's got an incredible body. It must work. No, that body was built with the basics, right? The social media was not built with the basics. The social media is built with the flashy, weird bullshit that gets you to look at it and go, oh, wow. But no, those bodies you see online was built with the same stuff that built everyone else. Squats, deadlifts, lunges, hip thrusts, bench press, shoulder press, rows, pull-ups. Basic stuff, right? The things we've been doing for decades and decades and decades is still the stuff that works and still the stuff that works best, right? A Smith machine kneeling squat is in no way better than doing a barbell squat or a Romanian deadlift. In no way, in no conceivable way. But it'll get millions of views, usually because it's a little bit different. And again, the girl's arse usually looks great, right? It's that kind of stuff. Shiny objects. We live in an age where pretty much everybody knows what they should be doing, but nobody is doing it because you're distracted by all this stuff. The next diet that comes along. Oh, it's keto. Oh, it's intermittent fasting. Oh, it's zone. It's fucking Beyonce's cayenne pepper and maple syrup juice drink. It's all of this bullshit nonsense that you just get distracted by. And I'm like, oh, how about just, tracking your calories, eating enough protein, fruits, vegetables, and fiber? The basics? Maybe that might work. Maybe that's always worked and will always work. It's just all this stuff is because someone's trying to sell you something, honestly. Somebody's like, oh, I can market this. I can sell gullible, stupid, desperate people into this, right? And you fall for it over and over and over because you want something new. You want something different. You don't like being told the same stuff over and over. How many times have you heard a personal trainer tell you, it's a calorie deficit. Track your food, eat your protein, get your fruits, vegetables, and fiber and complex carbohydrates, right? You have been told that 1,000 times. I have said it 1,000 times. I will say it 1,000,000 times more, as will every good personal trainer and coach, because it's what works. That's the truth. That's the reality. That's science. Everything else is bullshit to sell you something. Or it's some charlatan who's just trying to profit off their own ideals or ideas. And they're always the people to stay away from. The people who have a system that is one particular strict thing. They don't have your best interests at heart. They don't. Because maybe it worked for them, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone else, or that it should work for everyone else. And most of them, pretty much all diets, all follow the same principle. It doesn't matter how you do it. Whether you fast, whether you do keto, whether you do low carb, whatever it might be. It all only works because it's a calorie deficit. That's it. All you've done is restrict calories in some form. Maybe you've removed an entire food group, whatever it might be. You still only lose weight because you are eating less energy than you need. You've just taken an overly convoluted and unnecessary route to get there. A prime example of that is supplements. My God. Supplements are a $1 billion global industry, and most of it is unnecessary. Frankly, most of it is pointless. A lot of it is untested or comes off of relatively weak evidential studies that have only been done on mice and rats and not on humans. You'd be amazed how much stuff has not actually really been properly tested on humans. But if there's even the slightest hint that it did something or could do something, bang, in a pill, packet, potion, off it goes onto the shelves for you to buy with big ass bold claims. What they don't tell you is, yeah, that worked in rats. Last I checked, you weren't a rat. Unless you are a crazy sentient rat, then welcome. Where are the turtles? Do you live in the sewers in New York, right? If you're old enough to understand that reference. But supplements are 1% of the equation, and you guys obsess over it. You get crazy obsessed over this 1%. What's the best protein? What's the best pre-workout? Do I need BCAAs? Do I need intra-workout carbs and amino acids? Or should I take this creatine or this creatine or this creatine? Should I take beta-alanine? Do I need to take these amino acids? And like this long list of different supplements. You go on any supplement company website, I couldn't tell you what half of these supplements do. Right? I take protein and creatine. I may occasionally take a pre-workout. I'll usually just have something with caffeine in it. Maybe a Monster or a coffee. Other than that, I will just take basic vitamins and minerals for my health. A vitamin D, an omega, magnesium, calcium, zinc, basic stuff like that, right? You don't need all these things. You're obsessing over the 1% of the equation when you have done nothing to master the other 90%. Are you getting enough sleep? What's the quality of your sleep like? Are you getting 7 to 9 hours of good quality sleep a night? If you're not, why are you worrying about supplements? Are you getting enough steps in every day? Are you doing 2,000 steps or are you doing 10,000 steps? If you're not doing enough steps, why are you worrying about some sort of fat burning supplement? Are you making the effort to get natural good proteins through your diet? No? Why are you worrying about buying a protein powder? Are you recovering? Are you hydrated? Are you getting enough protein, carbohydrates, fiber, vitamins, minerals? No? Then why are you worrying about bloody supplementation? Supplements are the last thing, but they are the shiniest thing. One of the shiniest things. Every fucking fitness influencer will be promoting supplements. It's always conveniently, strategically placed in the corner of a video, because who on God's earth puts their tub of pre-workout or protein down by the squat rack in the gym while they're working out? I'll tell you who. No one. No normal person does that. Fucking fitness influencers do that. Why? Because they need to be shilling their sponsors in every goddamn post. Here's my bum in my whatever leggings. Here's my supplements. Here's my shoes. All this stuff. And I'm just like, oh God, so sick and tired of it. God damn it, so sick and tired of it, right? You got to ignore this stuff. You got to look at the main things in your life. Is your sleep good? Is your hydration good? Is your diet good? What are your stress levels like? Is work good? Is home life good? Is your sex life good? Right? All these things are more important than supplements. And then the final thing I want to cover in like the shiny object syndrome is like the training side of it. And that's people always flitting from one program and one thing to another, right? You see this? No offense. Women do tend to be the worst offenders of this. You'll go to a Les Mills class one day, and then you go to a spin class the next day, then you go to yoga the next day, then you go to the gym and lift a little bit of weights another day, and then you go do like a clubber size class. And it's always this one thing. It's just flipping between different modalities and different things, and you never get anywhere because you never stick with one thing long enough, right? 1 minute you want to run a marathon, and then the next minute you want to be a power lifter. And then the next minute you want to step on stage and do a bikini show. And then the next minute you're like, actually, I want to do a high rocks. God help you if you want to do high rocks. Ugh. Anyway, but you're always changing and flipping because this next new sexy thing comes along, right? Right now, high rocks, God knows why, is the big popular thing, right? Everybody wants to run a high rocks, even though it is basically just a adult PE that requires zero skill. Anyway, I'm not going to go into the reasons why I don't like high rocks, but right now, high rocks is the big thing. A year or two ago, everyone was really getting into running and they wanted to, do 10Ks and run half marathons. And then a few years before that, it was Tough Mudders and mud runs. Everyone was doing that. It's like there's always these phases of things that people go through, and you never stick with anything because you go, ooh, something shiny and new. I'm going to go do that instead because I'm a little bit bored maybe doing this. But you've never given anything you do enough of a chance to work. Because you can't do it all at once. You have to have one or two goals to do at a time, right? You can't be like, right, I want to lose a shit ton of weight, but I also want to get really good at running marathons. Sure, running's going to help you lose a bit of weight, but they're not really the two best kind of goals to pair together. Right? I also wouldn't be like, I want to do a bodybuilding show, but I also want to run high rocks. Because again, they kind of contradict each other in terms of goals and with terms of strategies of how you train and how you fuel yourself, right? You've got to stick to one, maybe two things at a time, but they've got to be two things that complement each other. They can't be disparate, right? So you've got to stay away from the constant obsession with going for the shiny new thing. Stick with what you're doing. I will do a particular thing for years. Then I might eventually get a little bit bored and be like, I might kind of try something else now. But it's years and years and years of doing that one thing and focusing on that before I ever kind of move on to or drift into something else. But you guys are doing it like a couple of times a year, right? Stick with one thing and focus on it. Finally, we're going to talk about toxic discipline versus being actually just properly healthy, right? Discipline is great until it's not. And it's not when it starts to get in the way of life and become a bit crazy, a bit obsessive, and well, frankly, toxic. That's the name of this particular section. And a big example of this would be when you get into, say, the hardcore bodybuilding lifestyle. Bodybuilding, yeah. And, you start living out of Tupperware everywhere you go. Now, I will speak from experience for this because I was that guy, okay? I was that guy where I would take Tupperware with pre-made meals with me everywhere I went. I'd take them to work. I'd take them to the gym. When I actually did my PT certification, I lived with my friend Phil and his now wife Gabrielle in Glasgow because I was living up further north in Scotland in Aberdeen. The course I was doing is in Glasgow. They graciously let me stay with them. What I would do is I would do Monday to Friday, I'd stay with him, then I'd go home. And what I would then do on the weekend is I would cook all my food. I would cook my breakfasts, a decent amount of lunches, and pretty much every dinner, and put them all in Tupperware and then eat those across the week. I would just freeze them and defrost them or have them in their fridge. And I look back on that and that's fucking mental. I didn't cook a fresh meal for 6 weeks. I just lived out of Tupperware because I was I need it to be perfect and macro tracked and everything needs to be perfect for me. And, I had friends who would be doing bodybuilding shows and they'd be going out for meals, a group meal, and they would be in the restaurant eating their own meal out of Tupperware. That is not normal. We do not need to be living that lifestyle. We are not professional bodybuilders. We do not have to have that level of dedication and obsession with how we eat. If you're just a normal, everyday person looking to get fit and healthy, you don't need to be living 24/7 out of Tupperware. It's good to prep your food and prep some meals and take some stuff with you for lunches and things at work if you've got goals. Great. But going out to a restaurant with friends and eating your own meal out of Tupperware, that ain't normal. You will never convince me that that is normal. Because I've been there and I've been that person. And even back then I was like, this ain't normal. You ever seen the look on a waiter's face when you give them your tub of Tupperware and you're like, can you maybe just warm this up for me? They look at you like you're an idiot because you kind of are. Discipline should never isolate you from social connection. I love health and fitness. I love being healthy and fit. I love helping other people get healthy and fit. But it's never at the detriment of their life, being social, enjoying it, going out, having fun, having a meal with friends and loved ones and being able to enjoy it, having the odd drink here and there. You still need to be able to do these things if those are things that you want in your life and they're important to you. Don't become a Tupperware wanker. Because if you start getting like anxiety and concern because you've got to go out for a meal and it means you can't be 100% on your plan and eat your, prepped meal from your Tupperware, that is what's leading to eating disorder. Okay, there's a lot of people in fitness who will not admit it, but the way a lot of fitness athletes eat, a lot of bodybuilders and a lot of girls who do bikini shows and stuff, it's disordered eating. It's borderline, if not an eating disorder, the level of obsession that they get to be able to reach goals. I have seen bikini bodybuilding break more women than I've seen it pick them up. I've rarely met women who do it for more than a couple of years, if you're lucky. Most of them eventually come out of it and they're like, oh dear God, that was so hard. I can't do that anymore. Even though they're like, I looked amazing, they feel dreadful the whole time. Most of them usually end up with some kind of eating disorder while they're doing it or after they're doing it. That, for people like you, for normal people, it's just not worth it. Even I don't do that shit. I love going out for a meal. I love having a glass of wine. I would love just being able to walk into a great looking bakery and be like, oh, look at that donut. I'm going to have that donut and eat it and enjoy it. And I'm still in great shape. Stuff like that is not going to do you any harm if it's done sensibly in moderation. It's going to be less harmful for you than obsessing relentlessly over every single thing you eat just because you're trying to be perfect. And that too goes for you girls who are always trying to just be skinny. And you're always thinking about how little can I eat? And this is becoming, again, horrendously, it's coming back, the whole skinny culture of like the 90s. I lived through that. I was young, but I remember it, everyone was just about being skinny, rail thin, your Kate Moss supermodel, heroin chic, as it was called. That's kind of coming back. It's creeping in. It's not as big as it was because we do thankfully have a lot of women these days who want to focus on getting stronger and more muscular and having curves. And, if there's one thing the Kardashians have been good for, it's making a curvier, fuller physique something that women actually want rather than being rail thin. I want you ladies to stop thinking about how little can I eat? What can I get away with not eating? And I want you to start thinking about how can I fuel my body? How can I fuel my body so I feel good, so that my brain functions properly? How can I fuel my body so that I can perform well in the gym and that I can do the exercise and the activities I want and not feel like death afterwards, right? Food is fuel. It should not be a punishment. You should not be doing things to punish yourself for having food, right? Food is life, man. Food's so good. I mean, the Italian part of me is like, oh, food, so good. Pasta and meat and cheese, right? Food is amazing. Food is perhaps one of the great joys of being human. One of the great joys of being alive is just trying and experiencing food. And God, I could not imagine a life of being, I'm not eating carbs. Do I look like the kind of girl who eats carbs? Oh, you know what? Fuck you, I'll eat them. And those of us who know what we're doing and enjoy our lives and fuel and train to be strong and happy and capable, we'll eat them. We'll eat your carbs. But I would implore you to please eat your carbs. Please, enjoy your food. Eat to support the output of what you're doing. Stop trying just to be small and eat as little as possible. Right, that just about wraps things up for this episode. A lot of things in there for you to digest and have a think about. As always, go give this episode a like, give me a follow on whichever platform you're listening to this on. If you're watching it on YouTube, give me a subscribe, give me a thumbs up. Make sure you follow if you're on Spotify or Apple. Don't forget to come find me on Instagram and TikTok at Coach Aaron M3. I'll catch you guys in the next episode.